Action camera, light up the big screen. Raditz goes to the movies. Hey guys, MasakoX here. Raditz has had a very big adventure on this channel. From about April 2017 to where we are now with episode 5 of Dragon Ball R&R being developed, we have managed to breathe new life into this character, who got pretty short shrift in the original story. I don't think you need me to explain that. Thanks to our contributions to his legacy though, we've now made him into a legitimately sought after villain, if fandom is anything to go by with their top 100 villains. Raditz was number 83 by the way, and we were mentioned in the description. In any case, we know about the history of this guy's story on this channel, but one thing has kept on being asked about for the longest time, and I've resisted for the longest time as well. Masako, are you going to cover the movies where Raditz may feature? Well, okay, I've listened and now I thought, well, okay, now we're going to start doing so, because we are leading up to the holidays and this is my little gift to you all. But before we start, I want to point out that we don't usually do the movies in large capacities for What Ifs due to their distinction from the regular canon. If you do want to see my biggest venture and my most ambitious one with the idea, check out the probably first What If on this channel, where I asked, what if the Dragon Ball Z movies were canon? It's part of the history of these videos on the channel, and I may go back to that in the future and come up with a different version, but for now, this is my next best effort in tying the regular lore to the main lore. But let's focus on the Raditz universe today. We have established, and see what may happen with the inclusion of Raditz in the movies. Well, I hate to say it, but for the first couple of movies, Raditz doesn't feature. At least not directly. But before we start, I want to point out that I do have a Teespring store with plenty of R&R merch, and also a new Patreon tier, the $35 one, which is the Writers Brigade. If you want to have your own little short story mentioned and actually made into a little skit with the R&R cast, then you can check out patreon.com/MasakoX for more details, as well as inclusion into the R&R Discord being one of the perks. Right, okay, back to Raditz. For the Garlic Jr. and Dr. Wheelo outings, Raditz isn't anywhere to be seen, since for the first movie, The Dead Zone, he has not arrived on Earth yet. Piccolo and Goku are the two main heroes, with Krillin acting as the support as you do. And as a result, that movie remains really unchanged. Now if we look to the second movie, The World's Strongest, Raditz has actually made his presence known, but he's not present for another reason. If we look back to that movie, it basically takes place after the Vegeta and Goku fight, which was like the original. Also, Raditz was in the next dimension at this point if you look back to part 1 and 2, and so didn't participate in the fight against Wheelo and Coaching, because he's in the other world, you know, teasing King Yemma. However, it did produce a change in some way. Piccolo here is slightly stronger in this timeline, as is Gohan, and so their contributions to the main movie are felt more. Now if you're wondering why Piccolo and Gohan are stronger, it's because in the lead up to Vegeta and Nappa arriving on Earth back in part 1, we actually have Raditz's contributions meaning something. Having a bit of say in training, you know, an extra person, does yield a little bit of an increase in productivity. And yeah, okay, it was just for a few months, but it did show itself, so Raditz, without even realizing it, has actually helped, or at least made things a little more interesting. Piccolo is a little harder to control by the Biomen, as well as proving to be more of a challenge for Goku once he has been taken control of. And as for Gohan, his rage boost, thanks to Raditz's training, was actually stronger and damaged Wheelo even more, took Coaching out of commission entirely, much sooner than in the original, all thanks to Raditz and his presence back in the day. Okay, the Tree of Might movie. Something would actually be yielding some Raditz action, right? Well, I'm afraid not. That was set not long after the Saiyan saga as well, and so therefore Raditz is gone here too. Turles and Goku still have their argy-bargy, and the others aren't affected either. It isn't until the Lord Slug movie, the 4th movie, where we see Raditz make his presence felt amongst the main cast, because he is actually here. Raditz was revived back in part 2, and had a fairly decent power-up because of it. Lord Slug is set around the time where Goku was on the cusp of reaching Super Saiyan, and had it not been for a coloration error or like a lack of communication with the hair of what Super Saiyan was going to be at the time of the movie, the form would have had its debut in this movie instead of Cooler's Revenge. So For the purposes of the narrative and with the benefit of hindsight as well, we will retcon that revelation and give it the proper coloration, and that it was just a temporary acquisition, with Goku struggling to regain it until the time we see it in the Namek Saga and the Frieza Saga. So in short, Pseudo Super Saiyan doesn't exist. It's Super Saiyan, albeit just for like 10-15 seconds. Raditz is here and works with Goku instead of Krillin to help deflect the incoming planet from hitting Earth, but, you know, that doesn't do anything. With Raditz here as well as Krillin later on, the Dragon Team are able to take out more of Slug's forces, but still the Terra Freezing device is still used, and the gang have to go through the motions, with Raditz mainly acting as a foil for the most part, until the latter half of the movie, when Raditz actually witnesses the power of the Super Saiyan, albeit fleetingly. And just so you know, the out-of-place rock music from the early 2000s dub of Lord Slug is still in place, just in case you want it. With Raditz now knowing that there is a chance that his brother might be the legendary Super Saiyan of old, it only fills him with pride that his brother, a low-class warrior, is the one to have this power instead of Prince Vegeta. It also gives himself some hope that he may one day achieve a power like this if he trains hard enough. You know, if my brother can do it, then so can I! Who's to say their father couldn't do it too? If only he was still alive. Oh, Raditz, you don't know about what Toa and Mira are doing right now with him. So, Raditz, I feel, would come to Goku and Piccolo's aid and help take out the minions of Slug, as well as aiding Goku on Iguana Street, but eventually falling to the wayside relatively quickly. He is able to also provide energy for the Genki Dama at the end, with him arriving on the scene. Basically, he's dragging himself on the ground. In terms of dramatic tension, we all think Raditz is gone, like he's nowhere to be seen, but then, you know, Goku's like grabbing Piccolo's energy. It's not enough! And then, wait, brother! Don't count me out just yet! Yay, Raditz is here! Because we all should be saying that. And thusly, the Super Namekian is felled by Goku with the aid of his former rival, and now his brother. Just you wait for Cooler's revenge. That is even more apparent that Raditz is going to make an impact. He and Goku are training at the beginning of the movie, with the former teaching Raditz the basics of how to become a Super Saiyan, for real this time, because the two of them have been able to really improve their brotherly relationship with training as of late. And Launch can see her new boyfriend and her friend really getting to know each other, and she remarks that this is all so sweet to witness and unfold before her. With several flickers of gold, Launch is amazed that she is seeing hints that her bow may one day match Goku in power, and that he may finally get the recognition that he oh so deserves. With Raditz here, he also arrives on the scene when Cooler is here, and is about to take out Oolong, Icarus, Gohan, and of course Krillin. With Raditz here as well, Goku doesn't get hit by the energy blast that Cooler uses trying to save Gohan. As soon as they get there, Raditz makes a straight beeline for Gohan to check whether he was okay, and the others, as Goku stood off against Cooler. They're doing their dramatic stare down. Raditz takes the fall instead, doing his best to protect his nephew and his brother after growing quite attached to the lad and his brother, of course, especially after their first encounter, back in the days of Raditz being a bad guy. Raditz collapses into the stream down the waterfall with Goku chasing after the pair. They then fall down the waterfall, and then Goku cloaks his power level to make it so that all three of them seemingly succumb to the watery depths. Cooler is pleased to see two Saiyans eliminated with just one attack. However, his three henchmen believe that Goku was not injured, and he may prove to be a pest later on, but Cooler is far too proud right now, so instead just decides to do a casual search of the area. With Raditz down for the count, Goku takes Raditz and Gohan to a nearby cave like Krillin did, and waits for a moment to ensure that nobody saw them escape the waterfall or the river. They want to make a clean getaway. Once that has been made clear, Goku tells Gohan to grab on, and he grabs Raditz's leg. The three of them then find their way to Korin's tower, where Yajirobe and Korin are caught by surprise, having never seen Goku's new technique before. Allow for some comedic, relief. Either way, Gohan tells Korin that a bad guy has arrived on Earth, and they need to revive Raditz, who is right now clinging on to life after a pretty bad wound. Korin remarks, "Wow, Goku, this new gimmick of yours is pretty convenient. Makes things so much easier. I mean, you put car companies out of business with this. You should really make some money, boy."
Korin? Can you help my bro, please?
When Raditz wakes up, he wonders where he is, and then spots his brother and nephew. Raditz takes this time to provide the exposition about Cooler, really describing him, having remembered him skulking around in the shadows whilst his younger brother, was ruling the galaxy and all that, being the galactic emperor. What a low-life coward! Raditz can feel for himself that he's a little stronger, but remarks that without him acquiring Super Saiyan himself, he's really not much help, but he's gonna try. With Goku taking a beam for himself to ensure that he's at 100%, they teleport to where Krillin and Icarus are, and are hiding, and they all regroup. With the arrival of Piccolo as well on the scene, they quickly dispatch the armoured squadron, and then move on to Cooler, after the Namekian still gets taken out, unfortunately. With Raditz assisting Goku, the two of them take Cooler on pretty well. But when the brother of Frieza jumps to his 5th form, that moment, it's a whole other matter. Raditz and Goku are beaten down, but soon they encounter that same bird like in the original, and in a dazzling light, both of them turn Super Saiyan at the same time. And I didn't do this just because it makes sense, I did it because it would look cool for a movie. Raditz has finally cracked it after realizing the precious balance of life and not wanting to see any more lives cease because of him. So yeah, this is the debut of Super Saiyan Raditz. With the brothers in arms, Cooler stands no chance. With a combined double Sunday Kamehameha combo Ki Blast aimed at the Iceman, Cooler still gets melted into the sun, and the duo look to each other on the ground and are proud of one another. Brotherly love. Aww. Launch is especially happy to find out that Raditz has mastered this power too, and will want him to try it out later on, if you know what I mean. So now on to movie 6, which is The Return of Cooler. For this story, Raditz joins the Dragon Team for their trip to New Namek, so as to revisit the Namekians that he had tried to help out back in the day. With Raditz there too, things seem to go down much easier than before, with the initial kind of robot rampage, but that is before Cooler immediately blasts Raditz to the floor, so as to immediately ensure that he and Goku won't join forces and take Cooler out like they had done in the previous movie with his organic body. Cooler's got something stuck in his craw about Raditz. Thinking that he now has the upper hand, we then move forward with the plot of Goku fighting Cooler, Vegeta arriving on the scene, both of them going Super Saiyan, and then struggling against the 1000 Cooler replicas that appear before them. As for Raditz, he's able to slowly get back on his feet after being rescued by several escaping Namekians. This includes a Namekian who can heal people, after having their potential unlocked by the new Elder Namekian, Mori. I'm going to assume that if you're the Elder Namekian and you're granted that power, you do have the ability to unlock potential. So I think that's safe. Now recovered, Raditz is able to jump in and go after Piccolo to rescue the rest of the gang from being bested by the robots of the Big Getty Star. What kept him going from passing out, and succumbing to the injuries, is the thought of his now 2-year-old daughter back home, Ranch. With that in mind, Raditz and Piccolo head the charge from the other's point of view, with Raditz then breaking away to drop in on the Meta Cooler Core battle with Goku and Vegeta, and freeing his comrades. So what I'm doing with Raditz right here is making him kind of like the bridge between, the Dragon B team and the Dragon A team. So Raditz kind of straddles the two. He can fight with the other group, Piccolo, Tenshinhan, Krillin and all that, but he does have the power to be able to hold his own with Goku, Vegeta, Trunks and all that kind of stuff, so he can actually flip between the twos. Allows for some dramatic tension, so he can actually do multiple things. And this isn't him being overpowered or anything, it's just he tends to get himself stuck in and he ends up kind of making it harder for himself. Then he gets a lucky break and then he goes back in. That's my actual justification for it. But back to what Meta Cooler Core says when he sees Raditz there and he's not happy. You! I thought I killed you! That's kind of funny! I thought I had killed you! Let me fix that real quick. Raditz, Goku and Vegeta then join their Ki Blast together and blow up Cooler and therefore the Big Getty Star, with the three escaping just in time. Now at the end of this, Raditz is glad that he was able to have the last laugh against the brother of Frieza. It was a long time coming. Vegeta though isn't best pleased that his former lackey has gotten this newfound vigour. This is where things really begin to heat up with them, as we know in the main timeline, in terms of their more than rivalry. So okay, for now, I think we'll take a pause, and then in the next episode, we shall tackle movies 7 through 13, and see whether Raditz makes just as big of an impression in the second half of the Z movies. Now, we're not going to cover Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, as well as Dragon Ball Super Broly, since we have covered those in parts 8, 9 and 13 respectively of the main What If Raditz Turned Good timeline. And so, doing that here would basically be retreading old ground. But having said that, Raditz and Cooler's particular gripe really ages well with what happens in part 13 of this story. So what did you guys think? Did you like this foray into the movie side of things concerning Raditz? What do you expect to see now that we are potentially getting into the age of maybe seeing 4 Super Saiyans fighting against androids 13, 14, 15 in movie 7? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!